start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Glad to have you all in here on a Wednesday. We got a couple more days until the Super Bowl. We are unveiling, look, our new Super Bowl logo we have here. We got our Super Bowl logo here. The look of the show is going to be a little bit different because it's a big deal. It's Super Bowl week. We've made it through COVID. We've made it through this entire football season with very little hiccups in terms of the NFL. We have made it to the Super Bowl, and that is a cause of celebration and just joy and excitement. And so I made a new logo. We got there little Tampa vibes coming from the Logan Ward Show. So glad to have y'all in here on a Wednesday. Hope y'all can stick around for the entire show because we have a big show for you here today. We're going to talk about the NCAA new video game. It's been a while. It's coming back. We're going to talk about that. Obviously, we're going to preview the Super Bowl, and we will give our picks. Mo and I will give our picks for the Super Bowl championship, who's going to win that, and the matchups, and we're actually going to predict the final score as well. So that's all coming up here on the Logan Ward Show. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and follow us on Facebook. Facebook and Twitter at Logan Ward Show. You can also follow us on Instagram at Logan Ward Show. So be sure to do that and spread the word because that means a lot. It means a lot to spread the word. So I want to start today by talking about the big trade that happened this week in the NFL. We saw Matt Stafford go to the Rams. And my takeaway has been, the NFL is becoming more and more like the NBA. The NBA, they go after star players. They go for it. They go for these small windows. It doesn't matter if you're not going to win, 5 or 6 years down the line. If you can win a championship, we're going all in. The Toronto Raptors did that. They said, we will take a 1-year rental of Kawhi Leonard. We'll take that for a championship, and they ended up getting that. And I don't think any Toronto fans are upset if they're not very good for the next 5 years. You got a championship. That's what matters. So the NFL is becoming more and more like the NBA. And that's exactly what I said last week on the show, was that the NFL, they're starting to take a lot of hints from the NBA. Becoming more and more like the NBA right now. Look at all of the players right now in the NFL that have voiced their displeasure, has said, maybe I'm not happy here trying to force my way out. Deshaun Watson is the most notable right now because we don't know where he's going to go. But it wasn't that long ago that Carson Wentz in Philadelphia was talking to the Philadelphia media saying, maybe I don't want to be here. Maybe I should go play somewhere else. That story happened this year. Deshaun Watson had happened this year. So the NFL is starting to become more and more like the NFL is starting to take from the NBA in terms of player empowerment. The Rams have said, you know what, we're going to go in. We're going to go all in on a couple of years, see if we can win a Super Bowl, and we'll live with not having a first-round pick for a couple of years. That's what the Rams did with Matt Stafford. The Rams said, you know what, we have a window. We have a small window of an opportunity to win a championship with the number one defense in the NFL, with Aaron Donald, with Jalen Ramsey, with Sean McVay. What is the thing that we're missing? We're missing a star quarterback. Jared Goff has done well for us, But he's not the quarterback that we need to try to get to the next level. What they do, send everything. Get me Matt Stafford. And Matt Stafford is a perfect quarterback for this. He's going to be able to sling the ball around, play action. He's done well in all of his career. Everyone has called him Stat Padford. A lot of people have called him that because he gets stats up. He throws the ball a ton. He gets a lot of yardage. They haven't translated to wins. All of these things. But Matt Stafford's a good quarterback. If you can't see that Matt Stafford's a good quarterback, I can't help you. If you can't see that Matt Stafford is a significant upgrade over Jared Goff, I can't help you. There's nothing that I can do to help you in that situation. Matt Stafford is a significant upgrade over Jared Goff. The Rams get a quarterback. They're trying to win a Super Bowl right now in the next probably 3 to 4 years is their Super Bowl window, and they know it. McVay and Stafford, I think they're going to be wildly effective, and they're going to be fun to watch. Matt Stafford has been a good quarterback his entire career. Matt Stafford has put up numbers that, we haven't seen in a long time. Matt Stafford is the fastest quarterback to 30,000 yards. He leads the NFL in fourth quarter comebacks since 2009. Everyone's like, okay, yeah, you can't win in Detroit. That's what the thing, right? You can't win, doesn't have playoff win. Yeah, but he has the most fourth quarter comebacks since 2009 in the NFL. He has the second highest passer rating under pressure last season. This isn't Matt Stafford, of a couple years ago, of 2012, 2013. No, this is last year. Matt Stafford was had the second highest quarterback rating of any quarterback in the NFL under pressure. It's pretty good. He's not going to be as under pressure as much in Detroit or in LA as he was in Detroit. And look at the weapons that he's had around him. Yes, he had Calvin Johnson, but Calvin Johnson retired early, hasn't had a ton of players around him recently. There's Marvin Jones is a good player. Kenny Golladay, an okay player. But now he has Cooper Kupp. He has the weapons around him. He has all of these different weapons that he can throw to. The Lions receivers, since 2009, they led the league in drops, so he could even had more yards and touchdowns and completion percentage. Matt Stafford is a home run for the LA Rams. And the LA Rams said, we're going to win a title. We're trying to win a title in 3 years. If we do that, giving up your first-round picks, completely worth it. I think we'll see a lot of the same stuff happen with maybe Deshaun Watson. If Carson Wentz is moved, which I don't think he will, but if he does, we'll see a lot of this stuff. But the NFL, and especially Sean McVay has gotten rubbed off. Those LA teams have rubbed off on him. The Dodgers and the Dodgers, the Lakers, the Clippers, they've all rubbed off on him because he's like, you know what? We're going all in. We're going all in on the quarterback right now. Doesn't matter. All in. Let me switch to something else. So, this quarterback matchup in this Super Bowl has so many good storylines. This Super Bowl, I think, would be built up even more. Yes, we have the traditional, we're having some media come out, but I think that if this was a normal year, if we were having regular media days, I think this Super Bowl would be completely blown up. The storylines are endless in this, right? Well, you have Tom Brady, who beat Patrick Mahomes in the overtime game in the AFC Championship game in 2019. Mahomes didn't even get the opportunity to get onto the field in that game. That rubs Mahomes wrong. Brady, obviously he respects Patrick Mahomes, and, that in itself is a storyline. I don't think Brady really respects Nick Foles, who beat him in a Super Bowl. You have Andy Reid, who's this incredible coach. Bruce Arians trying to prove himself and prove that he can win a Super Bowl. He can outcoach Andy Reid. You just have storylines galore. And I think that if this was a normal year, if this was a normal regular year, the media would be way bigger than what it is right now. But nevertheless, We have a matchup of arguably the most accomplished quarterback of all time. Well, not even arguably that. I mean, Tom Brady is the most accomplished quarterback of all time. I don't think anybody's debating that. Versus arguably a young quarterback who is in the conversation that if his career trajectory continues the way it is, will be considered the greatest of all time. Patrick Mahomes has everything. Patrick Mahomes has the talent. He has the charisma. He has the poise and the personality that you can build around. That you can, he's the face of the NFL now, and you can do that with him. We are seeing the making of the greatest quarterback of all time. Now, with a win, with a Super Bowl win, if Patrick Mahomes can get to 2 Super Bowl rings, he will have the greatest start to an NFL career ever, no doubt, no question, period, done. And if he has 2 Super Bowls, already considered, I think would have to be considered better than Drew Brees, who only has 1. Is he better than Aaron Rodgers? Yeah, you might, make that argument. But if he wins 2 Super Bowls, because everyone, you get to 1, but can you win 2? If you can win 2, you're upper echelon now. You've done something. You've proven something over time. But here's how we've gotten here. Here's why I'm saying that Patrick Mahomes, with the win, greatest start ever, and on pace to be the greatest quarterback of all time. In 2018, after sitting an entire season, his first career start, throws for 4 touchdowns, or throws for 3 touchdowns. His second career game, he throws 6 touchdowns, 322 yards. So in his first 2 games as a starter, throws for 9 TDs. Insane. In his first year as a starter, he's named NFL Most Valuable Player. And he's only the 3rd quarterback in NFL history to throw for 50 touchdowns with Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. That's pretty good company, right? That's his first year as a starter. In his second year as a starter, he takes the Chiefs to the first AFC Championship game in 25 years in the franchise history. They lose to the Patriots, a dynasty, with arguably the best head coach of all time and the most accomplished quarterback of all time, loses to them in overtime in a game that he was sitting on the bench the entire overtime. Didn't touch the ball. He follows that up with a Super Bowl appearance, down 24 in the playoffs against the Texans, comes back down 10 against the 49ers, comes back, wins the Super Bowl, and promptly gets the Chiefs back to a Super Bowl this year. 3 AFC title games in 4 years as a starter. Yeah, that's pretty good. 3 out of 4 years you've been in the AFC title game. 2 years you've been to the Super Bowl. You've won an MVP. You're the 3rd quarterback to pass for over 50 touchdowns in a season. Among QBs with at least 150 pass attempts, Patrick Mahomes has the highest regular season passer rating and postseason passer rating. Now, I understand. You don't have to get mad at me and say, well, Logan, he has Andy Reid, he has Travis Kelce, he has Tyreek Hill, he has all these weapons, he has Eric Bieniemy, he has all this stuff. Some quarterbacks never have that. It's not his problem. He's gone out there and proven that he's worth it. He's gone out there and proven that he can do this. He's giving it to his playmakers. That's smart. Why are we holding that against him right now? If Patrick Mahomes wins and has 2 Super Bowls in 4 years as a starter, with the records that he's beat, with an MVP under his belt, with the 50 touchdown passing season, with the highest postseason and regular season passer rating, he can be considered one of the probably top 10 quarterbacks of all time. And I'm not even saying that he could be, no. If he wins a second Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes will be considered a top 10 quarterback in NFL history already. And at this point, it's just moving up the ladder. Don't think I'm crazy. Don't say I'm crazy. Because what Patrick Mahomes is doing, what he has done in his career, what he has done in his 4 years as a starter has been nothing short of insane. Nothing short of crazy. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Mo and I are going to talk about the NCAA game. We're finally getting back. They announced that yesterday. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about our Super Bowl previews and our pick. That's coming up here on the Logan Ward Show on 12 Ounce Sports.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
At Amazon, we're pretty good at getting things done. We're pretty good at solving problems. COVID-19 is the biggest challenge we've had to face. But challenges are what motivate us. Like flying masks to our employees around the world. We're doing everything we can to get you what you need, and doing everything we can to keep our people safe. I'm former Navy pilot Sarah Rhodes, and I'm proud to lead our Amazon Air network.
To the Logan Ward Show, 12 Ounce Sports Network. Follow us on 12 Ounce Sports. You can also follow us on Twitter at Logan Ward Show, Instagram at Logan Ward Show. You can find us on Facebook also at Logan Ward Show. So wherever you use social media, wherever you like to use those that cellular device, we are there to be found. So just find us there and follow us. So we have a big week ahead. We are finally at Super Bowl week. We are finally here. And me and Mo are going to preview the Super Bowl. We'll talk a little bit about the NCAA game. We got a lot to get into. But I'm going to make all of you wait for our Super Bowl picks. That's how you do this business. That's how you tease, right? That's how you do this, Mo. Is you tease our audience. You say, we're going to do this, but wait, there's more. So that's how it's done. Mo, how are you doing?
Yeah, man, doing amazing. We're, bittersweet last week of football of the year. I would give people my Super Bowl picks at the beginning of the show and call it a day, but
Nope.
You're the expert, so I guess we'll go with your way.
No. We got to wait till the end. We got to wait till the end so that everyone will listen to all the other BS that we have to say, so that they can get to that part. So let's start with some NBA action. Last week we didn't talk any NBA. We talked only football, and there are plenty of topics to get into in football, but we wanted to bring in some NBA because there are some big things happening in the NBA right now, and a lot of things are kind of taking shape. So the Nets beat the Clippers last night, so that was a good win for the Nets. They've kind of started hitting their stride. Let's see, Mo, who is a team that right now you have been surprised by in the NBA?
Been surprised by the Philadelphia 76ers, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think they're playing at a much higher level than what they have on their roster right now. I think, over the last few years, they've been, building this sort of, chemistry with the same guys, with the same core, trying to build around Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. And I think it finally took a change in management, a change in coaching to make it happen. But, we're seeing a revived 76ers team, one that plays really well on the defensive end, is really scrappy, and has sort of a different mentality than past 76ers teams and under Brett Brown. So I think Doc Rivers is, playing with a vengeance. I think Daryl Morey is managing and GMing with a vengeance. And I think the players on the 76ers are also playing with a vengeance because, we've talked about trusting the process and it hasn't really panned out. There have been some really painful playoff losses and ways it goes down to, different teams in the East. And I think, they think they have a shot. They probably think they're at least the second best team in that locker room. I'm sure they think they are the best team in the East. And I'm excited to see what they can do in the playoffs with Doc Rivers as their coach, with the sort of going in with the underdog mentality, with a little vengeance on their side and a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, one team that has surprised me, and I guess not necessarily in a good way, is our Dallas Mavericks. They have not looked very good this year. Luka's been putting up numbers, but they kind of just seem like empty numbers. It feels like the Russell Westbrook triple doubles that he used to get in OKC, where it's like, okay, you're not going to do anything. Like, y'all aren't winning very much. They've kind of been one of the most surprising teams to me because I thought that they were going to come in and, like, after the bubble and after all that exposure, and honestly could have possibly taken the Clippers even further than what they did. They've kind of just laid an egg this season. Luka's looked good at some points, but other than that, like, they don't have anybody. So our Mavericks aren't looking very good right now.
No, they're looking really sluggish. I think, in the excitement of the bubble, people got caught up in the Luka hype train and, what people expected out of this, 21-year-old phenom.
Hey,
obviously, he's a prodigy coming in to the NBA. But I think this all goes back, it comes back to, the effort and the mentality on the defensive side of the ball. Because, we've seen with the Brooklyn Nets, what can happen when you have three offensive superstars. They have some of the highest offensive efficiency in the history of the NBA, but also on the defensive end.
Terrible.
I think I read a stat that they're, simultaneously the best offense in history and also the worst defense in history. So on both sides of the spectrum, they're pushing both sides. And I think with the Mavericks, unfortunately, we're only on, the negative side of that, which is just being bad on defense, and, not being as good as we were even on offense. So we're not able to win as many games and have close games like we used to. So it's looking rough out here in Dallas.
The Brooklyn Nets, it's an interesting thing because I've said all along, if you get these three scores, yes, they're going to score points, but in the playoffs, it's all about, can you play defense? In the playoffs, it's defensive possessions that win games. It's defense late in games that ultimately decide the series and who wins the championship. I haven't bought into the Brooklyn Nets yet because for a lot of points, but if the shots aren't falling, guess what? They're not going to stop anybody. So if the shots aren't falling for one of them, it's a much different story than, say, the Lakers. The shots aren't facilitate and give it to other people, but also on the defensive end, they can still play really well defensively. The Brooklyn Nets, I think, they're just fool's gold. Their regular season glory, they're going to win a lot of games. They're going to be a lot of fun. They're going to be highlights. They will probably get to the NBA Finals, but once they get there, I think that the defensive, in the playoffs, refs call it a little. They don't call it as tight. They let people play. They let people play. That is going to hurt playoff times. I mean, we've seen not play well in the postseason. He hasn't played well. I know he hit the shots in the Warriors. He hasn't played other postseasons. He had all these people around there. So I think Brooklyn Nets right now.
Yeah, and that goes back to why I'm excited about the 76ers this season is because I think, people with the brakes on and on, unlikely rigged he is, and the Brooklyn Nets will probably make the finals because that's how, it's paid out. I think the 76ers have a really good shot with, the pieces that they have in that roster. Danny Green is a really good defensive player. Tobias Harris is one of the best two-way players, and I think he has the size to be able to contend with a James Harden or a Kevin Durant on the defensive end. So I think, that they present a matchup problem for Brooklyn, and I would not be so gung-ho about giving Brooklyn an automatic ticket to the finals, even though they are, they have all this hype. They have all, the superstars on the East. I'm not sure how, obviously on the defensive end, how they will be and how they'll mesh come playoff time when the stakes are high.
Well, hey, and I'll throw out my Boston Celtics there too. I think that, they're still a team, Jaylen Brown has he's jumped off the page this year. Jaylen Brown has looked incredible. And Jason Tatum, we know what he can do offensively. So that two duo of Brown and Tatum have looked good. I know that Marcus Smart. Did you see the Marcus Smart play? I don't know if you saw the video, but he got hurt. He hurt his calf against the Lakers, and they showed a replay of it, and it was honestly disgusting because you can just you're just watching it, and then all of a sudden you can see the calf just pop, and I mean it was pretty disgusting. But when he's healthy, he's a great player. They brought in Tristan Thompson, which I think is something that they needed. They needed some bigs on that team last year. That was one of their downfalls, that they didn't have any bigs. They didn't have anybody to guard Bam Adebayo last year. So they brought in Tristan Thompson. They have Robert Williams, who's been playing better and more frequently this year. So I think you're right. There are a couple teams. I think that a lot of people, and hey, I mean, I would say that it's probably a foregone conclusion that the Nets are in just because offensively I think they're so powerful. But like you said, the 76ers, the Celtics, those teams are going to give them fits in the Eastern Conference. And in all honesty, we used to talk about the East being a foregone conclusion of who was going to get to it. Now it looks like the West. Who's challenging the Lakers in the West?
Yeah, that's really the million. I think the Lakers at this point are on, cruise control. There are some teams that are on some good runs right now. Like the Jazz have won, 11 straight. I believe. I'm
not buying it.
And then the Nuggets took, the Lakers pushed the Clippers all the way to 7 last season, and then short against the Lakers, obviously, but yeah, right now there doesn't seem to contend side. Usually that's the pretty stacked, hard to stack to differentiate teams in the game, but
that's
thing
the
is
power
sort
of
the comps on the side. The comp might cut a team that come to 7 offs.
Can we give the Utah Jazz a rest? I don't want to hear about the Utah Jazz being the best team in the West. I don't want to hear it. I don't care. Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert are not going to be representing the West. Like, that's not happening. Like, everyone was like, oh, they're on an 11-game win streak. Okay, like, okay, they play good defense sometimes. All right, let's see in the playoffs what you can do over 7 games against LeBron or Kawhi Leonard. Let's see it then. Now I think the Memphis Grizzlies have the longest win streak in either the West or the NBA. Like, there's nobody in the West right now. I mean, the Clippers are trying to figure things out. They're trying to figure all their stuff out. The Lakers are just, they're working on their game. They're trying to get the pieces to gel, bringing in Montrezl Harrell and some of the other pieces that they brought in. They're just kind of on cruise control, like you said. I mean, I don't think that there's many teams that are going to be able to compete with them.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the Clippers are first in the West. I mean, I guess we're forgetting to talk about them, but, with what they did last year in the finals, I still don't think that team is complete and still doesn't have a true leader on that team that can really, rally the troops whenever you need to, whenever you're, up by 20 and, the lead starts to slip or, you have a series lead and then, you lose a game or two. There's no one that can really, get everyone gung-ho about, taking and closing out a series because, Kawhi's not the most outspoken person. I don't think Paul George is that character for that team. He realizes what his role is there. There's no true floor general out there that's, shouting instructions and telling everybody what to do like there is with the Lakers and other great, championship teams of the past. You don't see that leadership out there. And I think that's what the Clippers are really missing and probably what's going to keep them from the finals again.
Yeah. One final thing with the NBA, Bradley Beal, I think that it's reporting that he wants to stay with the Brooklyn or the had some grumblings. I think that he needs to go somewhere. But apparently he's happy. I don't know. Maybe he likes being the one who wants to be like a Damian. Should leave. I know that you think he should leave, but apparently he's going to stay.
I mean, I don't know how, obviously when you play for a team, you can, just be openly beam. I think this, have to say, whatever team they're on, they're going to support it and say, I'm sticking by this until the very end, until they're traded, basically. You get a few exceptions with James Harden. He had, some grumble open, but if they're asked directly, are you happy with your team? Are you willing to commit to your team? Do you want to win with this team? They'll give you a positive confirmation of that because no one wants to seem like they're not, on board the ship. That just detracts from the locker room and makes the situation even more miserable. Yeah. So I think, he's trying to make the best of a bad situation. Maybe he's going to get a big contract. I don't know. We'll see what the reasons are behind that. But I think at some point, Bradley Beal, Washington, whether that's this season, needs to be seen.
Good stuff. NBA talk. Look at here. Diverse, well-versed show here on the Logan Ward Mix. About coming up for some Australian, I don't know. Rugby, something like that. Good stuff. So take a break. Me and Mo haven't even talked about this. I want to get Mo's thoughts on Matt Stafford to the Rams. We'll also talk about the NCAA game. It's back. We'll talk about the NCAA game, and then we'll give you our Super Bowl predictions and our previews coming up next here on the show. You're watching the Logan Ward Show here on 12 Ounce Sports.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
At Amazon, we're pretty good at getting things done. We're pretty good at solving problems. COVID-19 is the biggest challenge we've had to face. But challenges are what motivate us. Like flying masks to our employees around the world. We're doing everything we can to get you what you need, and doing everything we can to keep our people safe. I'm former Navy pilot Sarah Rhodes, and I'm proud to lead our Amazon Air network.
Back to the Logan Moore Show here on 12 Sports. Mo mentioned this to me where I can no longer use my Jeff Bezos reference because Jeff Bezos has stepped down as CEO. Even though I'm sure that we're still making him a lot of money with it, I'm going to have to find out the new CEO and plug them instead. But yeah, if you're wanting to help out the show and you're wanting to help out 12 Ounce Sports, go to 12ouncesports.com and then /Amazon, and they'll redirect you straight to the Amazon, and you can just shop away and make whoever is now the new CEO of Amazon a lot of money. So you can do that. It is Super Bowl week. We are ready. We are fired up. But we have a lot to get into. Earlier, at the beginning of the show, I talked about Matt Stafford to the Rams and what that means in the NFL, what that means for the NFL as it moves forward. And Mo and I have not talked about Matt Stafford to the Rams. I don't know his thoughts about. I kind of briefed him on my thoughts. So I told him. I said, Mo. I said. If you don't think that Matt Stafford is not a good quarterback, I can't help you. And if you don't think that Matt Stafford's better than Jared Goff, I definitely can't help you. So, Mo, please tell me that you think Matt Stafford is a good quarterback and that you think he's better than Jared Goff.
Look, you could be Helen Keller and know that Matt Stafford is a better quarterback than Jared Goff. You don't even have to see it. You don't even have to hear it. You just know it in your bones that Matt Stafford is levels above Jared Goff.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
It only takes, just the eye test really to see this, because we see how dynamic, how, unique that Rams offensive play calling is, what kind of, motions that they do, what kind of, how much variety they have in that offense. It's insane how much, Sean McVay probably, goes and sits on a whiteboard after every practice and just draws up different types of plays because it's always a different thing. They are probably, along with the Kansas City Chiefs, the most dynamic and exciting offense to watch from a play calling and just execution standpoint. The way they run plays and how they utilize all their players, it's really just phenomenal to watch. So that just tells you just how average Jared Goff was in that offense and how average he is as a quarterback, because, having a coach like Sean McVay, having weapons like Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, he had Todd Gurley for years, Todd Gurley in his prime. And now he's got, still stud running backs behind him. They still, they beat Seattle, but I think that was a lot, onto the defense. But when they actually played a good team against the Green Bay Packers, Jared Goff was just absent. He was, he didn't show up that day. And, he tends to do this a lot on the big games. He's just not a big game player, not a big team guy. And I think he'll honestly fit a lot better in Detroit than he ever did in LA. I think he'll take on that role of the underdog much better than he did, being in the spotlight in LA and having those expectations of being the number one draft pick, of being the Rams quarterback thrust upon him. So, I think this is exciting for both sides, honestly. The Lions weren't going anywhere with Matt Stafford anyway, so I think they now have got some picks, now have a new quarterback that's younger, has a perspective, has a chip on his shoulder as well. And now it's Matt Stafford's time. I mean, it's his window. He's 32 years old. He needs to make it happen in the next 5 years. I don't think anyone can sustain the quality of a Tom Brady over 40 when you go over the age of 40. So I think you have the next 3 to 5 years, Matt. This is your time. You have a great coach. Your defensive weapons are all in their prime now. So you better make it count. Is all I can say.
Yeah, he only has a couple of years left, and I think that you touched on a good point of the expectations in LA for Jared Goff were super high, especially because he got to a Super Bowl in his first couple of the seasons. So the expectations were really high after that, and I think in Detroit, no one watches Detroit, no one really cares about Detroit. Matt Stafford's been there for a decade, and people are still confused on if he's a good quarterback or not because no one watches Detroit. We watch him on Thanksgiving annually. We watch Matt Stafford tear it up on Thanksgiving, and we say, hey, Matt Stafford's a good quarterback, and then next week we forget about him. But, yeah, Jared Goff's not going to have the expectations that he had in L.A. Now, the expectations skyrocket for Matt Stafford. So the roles obviously have changed. The Rams are in Super Bowl win now mode with that defense, with Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. Brockers, I mean, they have a loaded defense. And, we'll see. It's boom or bust here in the next 3 to 4 years. But, I'm glad, Mo, that you see that Matt Stafford's a good quarterback. I'm really glad that we didn't have to have that conversation. There are people out there that don't think he is. I mean, there really are. It is wild that people don't think he's a good quarterback. I was contesting for a year and a half ago that why not try to, if you're the Cowboys, trade for Matt Stafford. I'm a big Matt Stafford guy.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be being from Dallas or the East Texas area, I guess. Being a Matt Stafford guy is just in your blood. He's born and raised there. He's a gunslinger. He's got that old school sort of, throw the ball back across your body, take as many shots as you possibly can, do whatever it takes, humanly possible to win a game for your team. So I think he's really got, the vote of the fans, really. Any football fan watching Matt Stafford, any true football fan watching Matt Stafford, I should say, understands what this guy goes through to win games for his team. He'll go to battle, and even if he knows that his team is no good, he's going to put it all on the line, even when he knows he's going to lose. And by some miracles, he's pulled off some winning seasons. I think he's made it to the playoffs a couple times in his 9-year career there. So he's done what he can. He just doesn't have enough help out there. His defense has never helped him out. So I think this is a great opportunity for Matt, and I think he really, really has to take advantage of this, or his legacy will be damaged, first of all. But I think, more than anything, he wants to win a Super Bowl. So, now is your time to shine. You've got a great offensive mind back there. Go to work this summer. Go make plays that are going to work for you, that are going to work for that offense and for the weapons that you have. And, go make a run on it, Matt. I'm rooting for the LA Rams next year. Hopefully they make a deep run.
Yeah, I am too. All right, so Matt Stafford He played with the Georgia Bulldogs back in his college days, and that Mo is called a segue. That's what we're gonna segue into the NCAA. Call me Paul Blart on my segue. So the NCAA video game, college football video game, because the NCAA is not attached to this. The did it again. The college football game is back. It is back. EA Sports has announced that they are going to it's back college football. Now they forgot to mention in the tweet that they originally sent out, like, hey, this is in development and this is going to be like 2 to 3 years before you get anything. So like you've already seen like crazy mock-ups of like college football 21. That's not happening. It's not. But I am stoked. I am so ready. I was like talking to someone on Twitter, and I was like, well, sorry. I had to let my wife know that now I have to get a next-gen console because NCAA is coming back. I am stoked, Mo. Did you ever play NCAA game?
I did. I did play a couple versions of it. I didn't play it extensively, but I know, how big it was in, the EA community, the sports community, video gaming community in general. And I do remember it was 5 or 6 years ago that they discontinued it. I believe NCAA 14 was the last one. That's the one I always see on Twitter. So I think that was the last one. And I think that's, really where my Texas Longhorns started to go downhill. So maybe with the resurgence of EA Sports, NCAA football, putting a Texas Longhorn on the cover may just change our fates for the next few years.
Yeah,
so,
Shane Buechele going up there.
I'm doing some voodoo down here. So hopefully my, Longhorns line up with the release of EA Sports' new football game. I'm excited. I'm definitely going to play the new one, even, just to get on the hype train. I think that's going to be the next video game I buy. So I'm going to save up for the next couple of years.
Yeah. So I bought NCAA, like I had 06, NCAA 08 was the one that I like wore out. Like I wore out so to the point where like the disc was messed up because of how many scratches it had, because I would just sit there and play for hours and hours and hours. And then of course we would play all the way up to 14. But I'm just so excited to see what any of this is. Like college football, I think, like you said, it's kind of, it wasn't just Texas. I feel like college football, since 2014 and since the game has really changed like a lot. Like since then you had, because of the video game, you had talks about like player likenesses and compensation for that. Now you've had the transfer portal. Now you have like social media. Now you have the college football playoff. You have the whole conversation about amateurism and like, are they professionals? Should they be being paid? You have like big schools getting bigger, smaller schools kind of falling off. Like, I just feel like since NCAA 14, like it's kind of, college football has been kind of a mess. And this is what I said on Twitter today. I was like, if you are a small school, if you are a small like FCS or 1AA school, and you are not jumping at the opportunity or doing whatever you need to do to get your team into that game, you're an idiot. Because this is how I know these, like a lot of these teams. Like this is how I know where Tulane is. And this is like that Tulane has a football program. I said today, like, I used to play Bowling Green versus Eastern Michigan. I would have had no idea who those schools were or what they were if I didn't know about it from the video game. So if you're a small school, if you're like Stephen F. Austin or North Dakota State, I know they play in the FCS. Like if you're not one of those teams, like just knocking on the door and being like, "Hey EA, can we get in the game?" You're an idiot.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity. I mean, college football, obviously, like you've said, has come a long way. I think, different teams have the ability to put themselves on the map. They have, so many different conferences and all that has changed. So I think they have a lot of possibilities when it comes to this game, being able to broaden the spectrum and the different types of gameplay, different types of tournaments you can run. I think there are a lot of, different ways that they can take this. And so, people are definitely going to jump on this hype train. You're going to see sales and stock of EA go through the roof. So, people, get on Robinhood, get on Stash, whatever you're using to trade, and start investing in EA, because I think this is huge news, and it's just going to go up from here with all the hype for the next couple of years.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty big. All right. The moment you all have been waiting for, the moment that I know that you have stuck around to see this, the moment that was teased at the beginning of the show, it is time for our Super Bowl picks and preview. All right. So here we are, a couple of days away from the Super Bowl. I said at the beginning of the show, the media, the media this Super Bowl hasn't been as big because of COVID. Like, I think that there's so many storylines here that if COVID wasn't a thing and you could have had a normal media day, like, this would be such a huge Super Bowl. But I really feel like it's kind of been like tamped down this year. Like, it's been pretty quiet so far this year. It's not a typical Super Bowl week. Let's start with just a preview, Mo. What are some of the things that you're looking for in the Super Bowl? What are some things that you want to see?
Yeah, first of all, I want to see if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can cover Tyreek Hill. I think in the first matchup this year, he went off for 200-plus yards in the first quarter. So I'm excited to see what Carlton Davis and the rest of his goons back there in the secondary can come up with. Obviously, very interesting matchups offensively for both sides. I don't think either of these defenses are regarded as, top 5 defenses or even elite defenses, but they do enough to win their team's football games. They're, very turnover friendly and turnover minded defenses. They're both very opportunistic. And so they try to make the most of those opportunities by taking the ball away, by making, big plays on sacks, big loss of down plays. Those are the types of plays that these defenses thrive on. And so, that's going to be a big factor. And obviously the quarterback matchup, this is, something that football fans everywhere have been licking their chops for, since Patrick Mahomes really got into the league. Everyone was looking to see who would be Brady's predecessor, or, the guy that comes after him. I don't know if I did that the right way. But yeah, I think we finally have found the person that will take the throne from Tom Brady. I think people have been waiting years for this to happen and are probably, rooting for Patrick Mahomes. I think the majority of football fans will be. But yeah, this is a very intriguing matchup. There's so many storylines. I don't know which one to follow right now. So, just really excited for the game, man.
Yeah, this is going to be an incredible Super Bowl. It will be we're not going to see the big lights. We're not going to see the craziness. So like I honestly think that favors Tampa Bay. Because Tampa Bay, last year the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. They were down, able to come back. They've been there. They've done that. Pretty much everybody besides, Tom Brady and Gronk on that Buccaneers team haven't been here. Playing at home, literally sleeping in your bed that night, and then going just like a normal home game. I think that favors Tampa Bay. I won't say that they win yet. I'm not going to give you my prediction yet. But I think that favors Tampa Bay. But Andy Reid off a bye. Remember, this isn't Bill Belichick on the other side. This is not Bill Belichick on the other sideline that we're worrying about. This is Bruce Arians, right? Andy Reid off a bye is scary for any defensive coordinator. Todd Bowles has been in this league for a long time. He's been a head coach. He's been a defensive coordinator. Andy Reid off a bye with Eric Bieniemy sitting there by his side, and they're drawing up plays, and they're thinking of all these things that they can do right now. They're watching film from the 1929 Army-Navy game, trying to figure out some plays that they can run. This is a different beast. I am stoked for this game. And Mo, we got about 5 minutes left here in tonight's show. So let's go with your prediction. And I'm going to make it a little bit interesting. So I'm going to give you the line. The line is 3.5. Kansas City is the favorite. 3.5. Kansas City is the favorite. Mo, what is your Super Bowl pick? pick?
Kansas City, 3.5. I will take Kansas City to cover the spread by 3.5. I'll actually take them to cover by 6.5. I think they win by a touchdown. Kansas City, 41-34.
Oh,
Patrick Mahomes gets a repeat, and he wins by a touchdown.
That 41-34. That is a high-scoring game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the last time these two teams played, there were some offensive fireworks. And I think it's going to be even more exciting this time around, honestly. I think, they're going to have, obviously different plays that have been set up. Both of these offensive coordinators have been at work the last 2 weeks. But yeah, I think it's going to be a shootout. I don't think the defenses will play as big of a part, but the winning defense will have a crucial play or two that decides the game, like a turnover or, a sack that, ends a drive that would be pivotal to coming back in a game like that.
All right. Well, okay, so the over-under is 56. The opposite direction. I think that Kansas City wins. They cover the spread of 3.5, but I have Kansas City winning 31-23. I think that it's going to be decision time. It's going to be like go for 2-point conversion or not. When do you go for 2? I think we'll get that sort of game planning there. But I think Kansas City wins 31-23. So I actually am under, right? I have 54. So I have 54. You have a lot more than that. This is for you. I mean, they're scoring on every possession. I have 31-23. And again, I think that it might be a situation where Kansas City scores late, kind of like they did last year, to kind of put it out. And I think the score last year was 31-24 or something like that. So I think it's very similar to last year. Honestly, though, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a low-scoring game. Like if it's like a 27, 19 game or something weird, I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. I mean, Andy Reid, he hasn't shown up to Florida yet. No one knows where he's at. I think he might be, communicating with aliens or something to figure out, different ways to run that offense. I'm excited to see what he's going to come up with, because who knows where Andy Reid is, sitting with a cheeseburger, Eric Bieniemy sitting by his side, just in a dark basement somewhere, plotting and planning. I wish I could be with those guys right now.
Oh, man. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us today. We will be back next week with full analysis. We'll talk about the Super Bowl. We'll break it down, what we think it means, all sorts of things. So y'all have a great weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. We'll be back next week. Thanks for watching Logan Ward Show here on 12 Ounce.